In this lesson, we're studying the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, what it means, how we can use it, and how we can graph with the equation.
Hello! We are doing something a little bit different than usual. This is note. This is something where you're going to take notes. I'm going to tell you what to write, and you'll have all the information that you need on this piece of paper, and you could use it as reference in the future. You can also color it. It's actually meant to be colored. That's optional if you want to color it or not. But we're going to fill out this together, and I'll tell you what to write. We'll start in the top two corners. This is the slope-intercept formula, which you've been using a few times. And first, let's define what a slope is. You know, when you think of a slope and you look at a slope, it's how steep the line is. It could go this way, it's a positive slope, or this way, it's a negative slope. It could be, a zero slope. It can be, very straight up and down. But that's what you see. But what a slope actually is, it's the rate of change. I'm going to write this down. The rate of change. When you're graphing something, for example, when you're graphing something, and let's say let's say somebody's walking at a rate of 1 mile per hour. The rate of change would be something like that, right? But let's say that their rate is faster. Maybe they walk 2 miles per hour. Then the slope would be different. It would be a faster rate of change. Or maybe 5 miles an hour. It would be an even faster rate of change. So that rate of change is what determines the slope, because what you're graphing is situations. It's not just a random line stuck on a piece of paper. You're graphing a situation. So when people refer to graph or the slope, yes, the slope is what you see. It's positive, it's negative. It can be steep, it can be not steep. But what it means is, how much does your situation change? So that's what I want you to write. The slope is the rate of change. Y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. Yeah, that's a little bit on the messy side. It's hard to write with this marker. Sorry. A formula for the equation of a line using the slope and its y-intercept. This right here is what the whole page is about. It's about this formula right here. This formula is in slope-intercept form. The M right here, hello baby, nice of you to join us. The M stands for the slope. So that's what you need to write here. You are loving on the camera. Yeah, so sweet baby. Are you purring now? The M stands for the slope. The B stands for the y-intercept. When I'm using one hand to hold Amber, I can't keep the paper still. And then my handwriting gives another reason to be messy. So the Y
and the y and the x, they are both variables. So you can write inside variable. The y is a variable, and the x is the other variable. The m is the slope, the b is the y-intercept. We are going to graph a line from the equation itself. The steps are listed here. The first step is start by placing a point at the y-intercept. So here's our equation right here. We're going to place a point at the y-intercept, which is positive 2. I'm going to start by placing my point. Number 2, from that point, count out the slope to find the next point. The slope is -3, so I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Number 3, connect the 2 points to form a line. There we go. I just graphed this equation. And so you're going to do a few more of these. So turn your paper over or get the next page, regardless whether or not they're stapled. We're going to practice using the slope-intercept formula. We are actually going to do the opposite. We're going to write an equation from the line. Let's start with y equals, okay? Because we know that they all start with y equals. Y equals. The equation is y equals mx plus b. M is the slope. So let's find the slope. Okay, this one, if you see it goes down, so this is negative. So it is up to, let me just write this to the side first in case it reduces. Up to, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To the left, 6. Oh, I'm glad I did that. Reducible. 2 6 reduces to 1/3. So it's -1/3 x. So y equals mx plus b. I could put plus and then -1, but I'm just going to get rid of the plus and just do -1. So here you go. The slope is -1/3. The y-intercept is -1. Look over here. Y equals, we'll start with the slope. This slope is positive. It goes this direction. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me count again. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's, I'm going to write it up here. 6 over 1. Okay. So it's positive. So it's a whole number. 6x. And then I would put plus, but it's negative. So if you want, you could put plus 1, 2, 3, -3, or just simply put -3. This equation goes with this line right here. Most lines are going to be an slope-intercept form. you do have some special cases that are not written in y-intercept form. This one right here, y equals 2x, it doesn't have a y-intercept. In this case, the y-intercept is 0. It passes through right here at the origin. Y equals 4, that doesn't have an x variable. So it's just 1, 2, 3. The whole line is just going to be a 0 slope. It's going to be right along the 4. And down here, this is a special case. It's a formula, and it's just fine, but it's not written in y-intercept form. It's not y equals mx plus b. You've got 3y plus 5. You've got to get all these parts moved over to the right place. You know, for this you would do minus 5 minus 5. That would be 3y. You don't have to write this down, by the way. Equals 6x minus 5. But it's supposed to be y, so you're going to divide both sides by 3. Then it ends up being y equals 6 divided by, so it would be 2x minus 5 thirds. Huh. Yeah, that's a complicated one, isn't it? So you'd have to put it in that form. But don't worry about that. We're still working on one-step algebraic equations. We'll be doing more. But anyhow, the point of this is when you come to an equation that is not already in slope-intercept form, it's, you know, the numbers and variables are in different places, you're going to have to move it around and put it in slope-intercept form before you can just go straight to graphing. Now, let's do these. Goodness, I'm tempted to have you do one of these on your own, but I feel like they both have something about them that I feel like I need to help you with. So y equals negative x plus 4. There's no coefficient, but we know that's, you know, an understood 1, so it's y equals negative 1x plus 4. So the direction said, if you remember, if I can get this over here, the first step is place a point at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. From that point, count the slope. So the slope is negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1 and over 1. So the way the slope faces that direction. So now, number 3 says connect the points. There we go. So, what is wrong with this right here? Can you tell that it is not already in y-intercept form? Let me get some paper, scrap paper, and I'm going to convert it to y-intercept form. We have y plus 1 equals 1/4 x. Remember, we need it to be y equals. We need to have y all by itself. But right now, we have that 1 with it. So to get rid of that 1, we'll do the opposite. So we'll take away 1 from both sides. That cancels out. So we're left with y equals, and then 1/4 x minus 1. Y equals mx plus. Okay, so now this is in y-intercept form. So now you can graph this. So if you want to write here, the equation for this line is y equals 1/4 x minus 1. Step 1, place the point at the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -1. From that point, count out the slope to find the next point. The slope is 1/4. So I go up 1 over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can pause the video anytime if I'm going too fast. You can pause it, rewind it, you can watch something over again, do whatever you need. That's one of the benefits of a video. If I'm sitting in front of you going too fast, you can't necessarily rewind me. You can ask me questions afterward, but you can never get back what it was exactly that I said. Whereas with a video, you can rewind it as many times as you want, and you can look exactly at what I have at any given point. So make sure you do that. So let me get my purple back out so at least I'm consistent. And now I can draw my line. The last thing that we're going to do is find the slope and y-intercept in these. As you can tell, both of them are written in a form that is not slope-intercept form. Remember, slope-intercept form, let me put it here,
Y equals mx plus b. As you see, it is not written that way.
So, right now as it stands, well, we've got 4y. So before we can get the y all by itself, we need to get the whole term by itself. So let's focus on getting just the 4y term by itself. It has a -2x with it. So we need to add 2x to both sides. Now that is gone, yay. So we have 4y equals, let's do the x first. It doesn't matter, you could do 8 plus 2x, but remember you do the variable before you do the constant. Here's the variable term, 2x plus 8. So now it's almost correct. We've got the y, we've got the mx plus b. The problem with the y is that it has a coefficient other than 1. So what we'll have to do is the opposite of multiplying y times 4 is to divide it by 4. But what we do on this side, we also do on this side. Wait, that's supposed to be a 4. Where's my whiteout when I need it? There we go. So 4 cancels out. We're left with y. Then we have 2x over 4, 2x over 4 plus 8 over 4. And that's kind of neat because both of those can be simplified. So 2/4 becomes 1/2, so y equals 1/2 x plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. So now, here's your equation in slope-intercept form. Now it says, identify the slope and the y-intercept. Now we can do that. Let me get out a different color. So the slope and the y-intercept. Remember, the slope is m, the y-intercept is b. The slope is 1/2. The y-intercept is 2. There you go. Now look at number 8. Oh goodness, everything's on the wrong side. Okay, so let's start with getting this y on that side. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what we'll do. We're just gonna swap sides. That's the easiest thing. We're gonna take y minus x, so we're gonna put it on this side. And put 7 on that side. There. We didn't change anything except we just switched sides. But you can do that with an equation because both sides are balanced. Now what we've got to do, y equals mx plus b, needs to be y equals. We have to get that x on that side. To get this y all by itself, we're going to add x to both sides. This cancels out, and we're left with y equals, remember, do our variable term first, x plus 7. Now, our slope and our y-intercept. Okay, our slope, well, there's no coefficient. This is algebra. So if there's no number, it's understood that it's a 1. So the slope is 1. The y-intercept is 7. I want to see that these notes are complete. I'd love for you to color them. You don't have to. That's optional. There's a lot of research that suggests that by coloring this and looking at it and thinking about it, that it will help you better remember everything. So that is purely your decision. The next thing that you're going to do is based on this. It is easier than the formulas that we did over here. You've done this before. Well, not this particular page, but one very similar to it. It's where you are looking at these equations. All of them are already in slope-intercept form. You don't have to do any changing. And you're going to look at the equation, and on this side, find the slope, and you're going to circle the number that tells you what the slope is for the equation. And on this side, you'll look at the equation, and you're going to circle the number that tells you what the y-intercept is. So, and if you have any questions, always refer to this. But I don't think you'll have questions. I really hope that you don't have questions over this. I think this should be something you can do completely independently. If you were not able to get all of this written down, maybe I went too fast, remember, go back, watch it again, stop it wherever you need to, replay anything that you weren't sure about. You can use this however you need, however best works for you. Don't be too caught up on the equations and how to get them in the right form. That is something that we're going to be working on. In fact, this week I'm starting lessons on two-step equations. And these were actually two-step equations, I think. So anyhow, don't be concerned if that was confusing. I'm not worried about that. That was an example for you of what you'll have to do when they're not in y-intercept form, but I'm not going to give you any that are not in y-intercept form until you've had time to learn how to do this independently on your own. And I know that this was not enough of an instruction for you to be able to do it on your own. So that is not something to stress you out.
Everything else, I hope that you understand. Off you go.